Hello, Mr.Li. This is Unit 4, Lesson 11, Level 2. And when we started this level, we had zero code and the default app interface, which didn't have this image background and this image selection dropdown. So first, I defined and set variables, which was labeled with the // my personal text, and I organized all of them correspondingly. So you can say I'm very organized. And in the beginning, I set my 5 variables, 4 of which were used for the 4 inputs I was given in the beginning. So quote, font family, color, and font size. And the last input was from the extension ideas I had to add, the image input, from the which it gets its values from the image selection. We'll go on later. So when the app is started or ran, it sets the property of feedback output to for its text color and height to be black and the default font size of 20, which you asked in the Google Classroom instruction. And it also, when the app starts, it hides the element of the image background. So you can see it's true. And it updates the screen. So it just gets like a refresh. So it's up to date with my code. And for the 5 inputs now, I had the update screen for the 4 default app function it gives. And on the last one from the extension idea, image input, I had to show the element image to be true. So now the user is able to see the image when they select one after they update the screen. And in each of these, since they recall the update screen, we can look at the update screen function to see what it does. So here you can see I defined it and it shows its code. So first it goes over the conditional statements that displays the feedback output in the bottom. So for the first scenario I had, if the color equals the string of color and the font family equals font family, as you can see in the beginning already, it's already preset. It would say, or it would set the feedback output text to be boring, because my intention was if nothing happened, that's boring. And else if font family equals, or not equals, but like shows that it's comic, and font family corresponds to 20, the value of 20, it sets the text of the feedback output to be Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man, because comics and Spider-Man's, yes. And else, if it's not either of these two, it would show subscribe for $5. So let's show them right now. So see, I just ran the app, and it's with the refresh, automatically it shows boring. And if we go to comic, it goes to font size of 20. Andrew Garfield is best Spider-Man. Yep, so the conditionals are working. And one last one, so we can just do a random combo. Subscribe for $5. My intention, if you subscribe for $5, I'd be able to afford my time and I'd be paid to update this app. So this could possibly say another thing if I ever paid $5. All right, enough yapping. Now, as still part of the function to update screen, we have the various code for the inputs. So in its on events, it looks more simplified. But in the function, it shows when quote, the variable of quote, it grabs the text of the quote when anything is inputted from as seen from the on event, and it sets a text in the quote maker to be the value of the quote that's inputted here. And font family, color input, font size, image input works roughly the same, but with drop downs instead. But font size works with a slider, but these have a general same gist of an idea. They grab the text of the drop down, then it sets that from to the variable, and it sets the property of it. So it sets the property of the quote, and since you asked in the instructions, we set the feedback output to be the same. That would be the same for the color of the background. So it sets the property of the whatever is selected to the feedback output here, and the quote output. Seen with the color equals get text of color input, and it puts in both of them. Font size. This doesn't put into feedback output, so it just grabs whatever font size value and then adjusts it to the quote output. Image input, same thing. Gets the text from the drop down, and it goes through a conditional this time. So if it's a dog, it would set the property of the image background to be the image I had. And then same thing for the 3 other options it would go through. So if it's not a dog, it would test if it's Fortnite. OMG is Fortnite, and then it would display the image. if women drivers displays the corresponding link, and then lastly else if brain rot, then it would set the corresponding one. So if we run it and test the images, or we type an inspirational quote, to be great, be LeBron. And then we can select an image. So let's put brain rot, dun dun dun. Or we can just go another one, dog, OMG Fortnite, women drivers. Hey, it's a car crash by the way, because women can't drive. Oh, that was fun. And then we can just test it out and see any changes and its difference. You can see on the bottom that the font is changing for both. Yep, and light yellow. So, yep, you can see the app works. On the top here, I spent 30 minutes trying to debug why it cuts off, but I'm assuming that's a code.org thing as part of their design interface they just gave me. And that's it. That's the app. You try one more time. Great, DB LeBron. That's the quote of the day. Bye, Mr.Li.